Wasabi wallet. Unfairly private.
When you are first getting into Bitcoin, one of the first things you need to learn is how to buy Bitcoin. So today we're going to be taking a look at a new Canadian exchange called Newton. This is a place where you can send Canadian dollars, fund your account, and then trade those dollars for Bitcoin. And then if you choose to do so, withdraw your Bitcoin into your own personal Bitcoin wallet. I'm Ben with the BTC Sessions, and this is your daily session.
Untitled Bitcoin.
So before we actually get started with Newton here, there's just a couple things I want to clarify, especially for you newbies out there that are just diving into Bitcoin for the first time. There is a difference between a Bitcoin exchange and a Bitcoin wallet. An exchange is somewhere that effectively holds your funds for you. So in the case of Newton, you are sending dollars to them, you are trading those dollars for Bitcoin, but when you have Bitcoin with Newton, it is not in your own custody, you are trusting them to hold it for you, and if you want it in your own custody, you will need to get a Bitcoin wallet. I'm going to be using one called Blue Wallet, which I really enjoy. In this example here, I have done a full tutorial on that, and that tutorial is linked in the show notes down below. I also reference fees, and there is a difference between fees used by Newton, which are relatively minimal, and fees incurred by using the Bitcoin network itself. If you want to further understand the latter, I also have a video regarding Bitcoin network fees, how to understand them, and how to ensure you're never paying too much, and that will also be linked down below. Of course, I want to give a big shout out to sponsors of the show, LEDN.io. This is where you can use your Bitcoin for a variety of different services. They've saved my butt on a few occasions where I wanted to get my hands on dollars, but I didn't want to sell my Bitcoin because that is a taxable event, and I was worried about having to buy it back at a higher price. So here I was able to deposit Bitcoin, get a loan against that Bitcoin within 24 hours to my bank, and when I paid back those dollars, I was able to get back the same amount of Bitcoin, which for me is the important number here. They also have Bitcoin and USDC savings accounts with interest rates of up to 12.5% annually paid monthly, and they've got their B2X offering, which uses the same loan mechanism to instantly buy more Bitcoin if you're feeling really bullish. Check them out, links down below. If you opt to get one of their loans via that link, they'll give you $25 for free into your savings account. Up next, we have the Kobo Vault, one of my favorite hardware wallets. This is a security device to keep the keys to your money safe and offline. It is 100% air gapped, which means you never plug it into anything internet connected. It's all done via QR code, and it's just kind of an upgrade on your security for your Bitcoin. I am using the Kobo Vault Pro, which has a fingerprint scanner and rechargeable battery. Be sure to check it out down below. Now, I do live on Bitcoin. One of the ways that helps me do this is Bitrefill. This is where you can use your Bitcoin to buy pretty much any gift card you can imagine. They have all kinds of different gift cards in tons of different countries. You can click the drop down and choose your country, and there's just about everything here. You can pay regular Bitcoin transactions, or you can use the Lightning Network for cheap and fast transactions, and you actually earn Bitcoin back as you're shopping. So be sure to check them out as well. And finally, if you are backing up a Bitcoin wallet when you start that process, your backup is often at first done on paper, but this leaves it subject to fire damage, water damage, or just accidentally throwing it out. So if you want to step up that security and really have a solid backup, you can put it in solid steel with the BillFodl over at privacypros.io. It's a steel plate with little steel tiles that you slide in to save your backup phrase. Be sure to check them out, and please be careful when you're backing up your Bitcoin wallets. It is a very important part of the process. With that, let's dive into the tutorial. Here we are on Newton Exchange, newton.co, and I'm already logged in. Sign up was an absolute breeze. Of course, I'm not going to walk through that process because of the personal information that would be given away with that. However, I can say it was very quick, very easy. I didn't have to do the thing where you would take pictures of IDs and everything. It was a pretty easy process, emails, phone numbers, general information that you would normally give, but it was in no way inhibitive, and it cleared relatively quickly. I think within half an hour, even less, I was fully approved and ready to go. And the process for actually entering that information was just a few minutes. So, yeah, pretty good. And I've already done some transfers just to test to do a purchase and everything like that. So I'm just going to walk you through what we see in front of us first. So first, you're going to see a total portfolio value in terms of dollars. Though this doesn't say exactly what your assets are. Your assets are down here. So I can see a Canadian dollar balance, although that's just some leftover pennies, and a Bitcoin balance of around $50 or $51 sitting here, or 0.00073 Bitcoin. It gives me a percentage up or down since I've put this money in, and then it shows recent activity, like whether you funded or connected a bank account, anything like that. That's all here. And then it shows the market. Now, these guys obviously do have more than just Bitcoin. You guys know me. I'm just here for the Bitcoin. So I obviously won't be focusing on these other coins here. But besides the fact, the important stuff is over here on the right-hand side. Now, these guys do have a mobile app as well, so it's similar on the app, just a slightly different layout, but the icons will be the same. So you hover here, they have add funds, they have trade, and they have withdraw. And that's pretty much all the basics that you're going to need here. Let's take a look at how to add funds. So when I hit add funds, I've got a few different options. Interac e-transfer tends to be the easiest, and they say it clears typically within 5 to 30 minutes. You can add Bitcoin or other coins from your own wallet and send to Newton to then trade for dollars, or you can send a wire transfer to get dollars into your bank account, but that typically takes over 3 business days, and typically, I would say that's reserved for larger amounts. So I'm going to hit e-transfer here. So when I hit that, it says, how much would you like to send over? So I'm going to say $100. And it has an email address for me here. Now, the limits per e-transfer are up to $10,000, although that may be different with your bank. There's a weekly limit of 70,000, but I've already sent over 50, so that's down a bit. And the transfer time, again, 5 to 30 minutes, and it says your existing balance in Canadian dollars if you currently have some there. And what this does, when I hit send fund request, is actually going to send an email to me that will say, hey, Newton is asking for you to send an e-transfer to them for a specified amount. And all you have to do is actually open that email. It will take you direct to your online banking. And then at that point, it will autofill the e-transfer for you, all of the necessary information. You simply approve it and send it off. And that is it. So it takes all the work of having to add in a payee and do all these other things. Very, very simple. I love it. It's probably one of the easier ways that I've seen with Interac e-transfer to a Canadian exchange so far, and I hope that more exchanges do this in the future. So I'm going to do that off screen because I'm not going to show you my online banking, and then we'll come back when it's funded. Now, I just really quickly wanted to show you what those emails looked like and how that worked within getting that email from Newton in order to fund my account. So this is a screenshot of the email that I got from them, although I blocked out the name of my financial institution here. But nonetheless, it says, hey, Newton, and this email address has sent you a fund request for $100. There's a message ID, and then you can select a different bank, or by default, if you've connected a bank account, it will show what bank you're dealing with there, and you can just click on it, or you can decline the request. If you click on my bank, then it will open you to your bank, and you will see a screen like this, and it says, hey, you've received a request for an Interac e-transfer from Newton for $100 on this date. And again, just like a message for their own records. And then you hit the drop down menu to choose which account you want it to come out from, and then hit continue, and you just finalize it, and that's it. So everything is pretty much automated for you. It's all done super easy. All right, so about 15, maybe 20 minutes later, the funds have landed into my account. So you can see I have the previous $50 or $51 balance in Bitcoin, and then I now have an additional $100 in my Canadian dollar balance. Now at this point, of course, I still only have $50 in Bitcoin, and the 100 is sitting here still in Canadian dollars. So I need to trade these dollars for Bitcoin. And we do that over here on the right hand side. There's little two arrows that if you hover over them, they say trade. You click that. And here you can put in a manual amount, so you can type it in, or you can use the percentages. So a quarter of what I added, half, the max, whatever you choose to do, that is fine. And you can also designate, oh, well, you know, what am I trading for? So if you wanted to go the other way around, let's say I had Bitcoin. So I go down, I choose wherever it may be, although I have to make sure I'm not trading Bitcoin for Bitcoin. So you might have to switch that up. So anyways, this is where you choose what you're trading and what you're getting. So you choose Canadian dollars, and I would like to buy Bitcoin. That's what I'm doing right now. Or you can swap them. If you're trading Bitcoin for dollars, you just hit these little arrows here and it swaps Bitcoin for Canadian. Okay, so I'm going to do the maximum amount rather than putting in a manual amount, and that is 100, and I did have 3 cents sitting there previously. It says how much Bitcoin I'm going to be getting. It says the rate at which I'm going to be paying for that Bitcoin. So right now it's just shy of 70, it's like $69,500 per Bitcoin. So if I hit review, it's going to show me that info one more time, $100.03 for this much Bitcoin. And I'm going to hit buy. And there we go. Success. This is now in my account. Exchange rate, time of trade, all of that is sitting there, and I'm good to go. And I can just return to the dashboard. Now I can see the updated balances there. Okay. So, and this additional change here is kind of the variance, because the price of Bitcoin is constantly fluctuating up and down. So if there was variance where I was getting the same amount of Bitcoin for less dollars, then that could be attributing the additional pennies that are sitting here. Nonetheless, I've now made my trade. And so at this point, what we want to do is we want to send Bitcoin out to my personal Bitcoin wallet, or at least I'll show you how to. I tend to like to withdraw when this builds up to a few $100, and I'll explain why afterwards. But let's take a look at the wallet and how to do this. So right now we are looking at an application called Blue Wallet. This is a personally held Bitcoin wallet that holds your own funds. You're not trusting anybody else to hold them for you. There's a saying in Bitcoin, not your keys, not your coins. And despite what the inclination is on behalf of most people, it is actually safer to hold your funds yourself than to leave them with an institution. There's been many exchanges that have gone down over the years or been hacked and had funds stolen. And a lot of people have lost a lot of money that way. And the reason is Bitcoin is irreversible. And if there's a hacker that's looking to steal funds, the same amount of time and effort would go into trying to hack an individual and get access to their funds versus trying to hack an institution or an exchange and get access to many people's funds at the same time. So a lot of these exchanges can be viewed as honeypots where it's attractive to hackers to try and compromise them and steal money out. Now, I'm not saying anything about the security of Newton, but just in your own self-interest, it's worth learning how to self-custody and hold your own Bitcoin. Now, Blue Wallet, I have done a video on the mobile app. You can go and check that out in the show notes down below, and hopefully that will help you on your way to hosting your own Bitcoin wallet. It's not as hard as it would seem. But I will just quickly show you here. I have one wallet sitting here, and I click on it. And very simply, I'm going to hit receive because I would like to receive Bitcoin from Newton. I'd like to withdraw into my own Bitcoin wallet. And you're greeted with a QR code You're also greeted with this string of digits down below, and that is your Bitcoin wallet address. And within Blue Wallet, it's really simple. You can just click it and it will copy that string of digits. And you can make note of the first few and the last few digits just to make sure it's correct. And then if I go over to Newton, I go over to the right-hand side here and I hit withdraw, and I can go down to crypto wallet. When I click that, it says, how much would you like to withdraw? I'm going to withdraw all of it, although, well, I'm not actually going to withdraw right now, but I'm going to demonstrate how that would work. So I would hit max, or you could put in a manual amount. Then I'm going to hit paste address, and I'm going to paste that in. Again, I can make note the first few digits, the last few digits, and make sure those are the same here, and they are. Okay, great. At this point, it's going to say review withdrawal. Now, I'm going to show you why I'm not going to withdraw right now and why I like to build up a little bit within my account before withdrawing. So what happens here is Newton, or rather the Bitcoin network, has its own set of fees to help support the network and make sure it's secure. Now, those fees fluctuate depending on how busy the network actually is. And so at times it can be quite expensive to use the Bitcoin network, depending on the relative amounts of funds you're trying to use. So if you're trying to send a smaller amount, then it may not be particularly worth it. I have done a video on Bitcoin fees. I'm not going to dive too deep into that right now, but if you want to learn about how these fees work, how you can optimize, how you can make sure you're never paying too much, and how you can even cut down so that your fees are next to nothing, be sure to go and watch that. But what I'm looking at right now is, hey, the network fee seems like it's going to be a huge chunk of my withdrawal. And that doesn't sound particularly good for me. Now, this withdrawal doesn't matter how much money I'm actually moving. So that's key. If I were taking out $10,000 worth of Bitcoin, the network fee would be the same as if I'm taking out $100. It's based on the amount of data you're processing, not the amount of money that's being sent. And so that's why I prefer to let this build up a little bit, at least to a few $100s before I withdraw. So I'm not going to withdraw, but I will say that Newton does cover up to $5 worth of fees, and anything beyond that goes onto the user. I'm hoping that in the future, Newton will consider doing something called batching, where they do withdrawals of a number of customers all at the same time, which cuts down on fees and kind of mitigates that out to many users all at the same time, and really optimizes the way that they use Bitcoin. There are a number of exchanges that also do this, and even cover the costs for that, which means that you actually don't get withdrawal fees, although that may not always be the case. Either way, it would be really cool to see them implement something on the withdrawal side so that you don't have to kind of play this balancing act. Yeah, I look forward to seeing the Newton team hopefully implement something like that in the future, but now you know. Anyways, you get to this point. If you see this surge warning, then you know, okay, maybe I should let this build up a little bit. But if you're okay with the fees, then you're going to hit withdraw and it will go direct to your Blue Wallet or whatever wallet you are using, depending on where you pulled your address from. For now, I'm not going to do this withdrawal. I'm going to go back and just exit out of that. And that's about it. Now, really quick, let's take a look at what if we wanted to do the opposite? What if we wanted to sell Bitcoin, which I'm not too keen on, but what if we did want to do that? Well, really simple. We just do exactly the opposite of what we've just done. We have, let's say you didn't have Bitcoin here in your Newton wallet. First, you have to add funds. And I can say I'm adding it from a crypto wallet or a Bitcoin wallet. Great. It says, hey, you've got to send Bitcoin to this address. Now, this is another thing, a side note here. Newton is using what's known as a legacy address, and that inherently is going to incur more fees in the long term when they're trying to send funds out. So I would very much like to see them update that to what is known as BEC32 addresses, which start with BC1. If you're not super technical, I wouldn't worry about that, but you may want to drop a suggestion to Newton and say, hey, let's update your addresses so there's less fees for users. I think that would be great. Either way, I'm going to hit the copy button here. And let's look at how we would send Bitcoin to Newton from Blue Wallet as an example. So I'll jump over here. I'm just going to hit cancel and go out. And it's really simple. Before we wanted to receive, this time we would want to send. We hit send. We paste in that address that we just copied from Newton. We select an amount that we would like to send, let's say $50. And then, as I was saying, Bitcoin network fees can vary. So you can actually set your own network fees within your wallet. So, like a $2 fee is really not that bad. In fact, if you're privy to network fees, like in the video I said I did, you can even go into custom and set your fees to much lower, assuming you know what's going on and whether or not that's going to work out for you. So like that's $1 worth of fees instead. So again, keep that in mind. If I was good to go, I would hit next and then confirm the transaction and send it off, and it would land in Newton, depending on your fee, relatively quickly. Now, once we have Bitcoin in our account, which we do right now, by the way, at that point, we have Bitcoin that we just bought. We would trade. So this time we would want to trade Bitcoin for dollars. So again, these are the drop-down menus of what you're using, but I'm just going to do that little swap button like I mentioned before, Bitcoin for dollars, and I say max. Okay, great. With all fees included, I would end up with about 149 Canadian dollars. You can see here I have about 150, so less than $1 worth of fees there that I'm paying, or just over, somewhere around $1 worth of fees sitting there. Sorry, quick math in my head wasn't working. Anyways, I'm not going to trade that right now, but if I did, again, I review the trade and confirm it, just like when we were purchasing. And then finally, if you have dollars in your account and you want to get them to your bank account, this is where you hit the withdraw button. And this time, Interac e-transfer to yourself. You put in your amount. It's going to send you an email to the email address that you set up the account with. And it says this is going to be the answer, the question for when you have an Interac e-transfer security question. Hey, this is going to be your answer, unless you have auto deposit enabled. And again, you have limits of 10,000 per e-transfer, a weekly limit of 70 grand. And yeah, that's pretty much that. So all in all, pretty simple to use, pretty straightforward. You've got your adding funds, you've got your trades, and you got your withdrawals. And that is pretty much it. Everything is summed up on the dashboard here. And overall, not a bad experience with Newton. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, please do hit like, subscribe, and share, especially if you're new here. Absolutely hit that subscribe button. I have tons of tutorials and do weekly news and panel shows for you to check out. Now, if you want to help out the show in another way, you can hit up the previously mentioned sponsors down below. That was LEDN, Kobo, Bitrefill, and BillFodl, or privacypros.io. And if you really loved what you saw, you can always drop me a Bitcoin Lightning Network tip at my tippin.me page. That is tippin.me/@BTC sessions. And side note, if you don't know how to use Lightning Network, you can check that out in some of my tutorials as well. With that, I'm out. Have yourselves a wonderful day, a wonderful evening, wherever you may be, and I will see you guys next time for your daily session.
Hodl the Bitcoin.